I would like to call upon my four panelists this morning. I have Ms. Rebecca Chibwana coming from the Higher Life Foundation with a round of applause. Coming all the way from Zimbabwe, I also would like to invite Ms. Olatorera Oniru, CEO of Dress Me Outlets, coming right from Nigeria. So this is a national applause. Okay, we'll try that. I would like also to invite Fatoumata Nyang-Nyox, who is the CEO of, who is the founder, the executive director rather, of Joko Labs, coming from Senegal. And Ms. Dominique Uwase Alonga, founder of Imagine We. So this discussion, again, it's not only a panel, it's an exchange. It's also discussing together and identifying avenues all together on how we address some of the challenges that are hindering all of us. So it means that this discussion is inclusive. We are going to talk all together, both men and women, to talk about gender equality. And gender equality has to go through the empowerment of women because as of now, they are not yet empowered as it has been highlighted. Another important element that I would like to highlight here is that we're shifting gears. Usually we have the policy makers, we have the decision makers, we have those that make the laws, that are here discussing about the laws that they have made. Now we're discussing with entrepreneurs, we're discussing with those that are actually on the ground and seeing what are some of those challenges that maybe might come out of our radar sometimes. So we want to really unpack what we mean by mindsets. And allow me to highlight that mindsets is probably one of the slowest element that changes in a society. I think the regional director has said she was young just very few years back, not that many, but it seems that the mindset and the discussions about empowering women and girls are still there. We're still discussing about the same things than sometimes our mothers did. So we have done a lot, development has done a lot and brought a lot, but these mindsets are still there. So it's the next frontier for gender equality. And we really hope that through the opportunities of the fourth industrial revolution, through the opportunities that were given here by a more conducive policy framework, as it has been highlighted by the Right Honorable, I think we can make it happen. So what is necessary for us to make it happen? So that is the objective of the conversation, and you'll be invited to actually not only comment, but also share what you think about the question. And once again, as you know, the hashtag is YCA2018 if you want to tweet, if you want to share what is happening on social media. So let's get the conversation started if you allow. I would like to start with you, Ms. Chibwana. I think the Higher Life Foundation is doing a lot in terms of empowering. Those are the most left behind. And we are still seeing that even through empowering or through putting women on the agenda and high on the agenda, there are still some gaps. So in your perspective, where are those loopholes that we still need to address to make gender equality a reality?
Okay, thank you. So from the engagements and interactions with the young women on the ground, one prevalent factor which always comes out, I think there is need for us as governments, as organizations, to also take part in grassroots advocacy. Most of the young women actually mentioned that in as much as these platforms are being provided for at macro level, but some of their community leaders, their parents, their guardians, it seems as if they are still in the dark because of the cultural and social practices which are still existing in these communities. So I believe that there is need for us to come up with strategies that aims at also educating these people who are involved in the lives of the young women. In as much as we may have conducive policies, there is also need to create an enabling environment at grassroots level for these young women. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I would like to bring you in, Ms. Nyang. I think what you are doing on a daily basis is really working with the young entrepreneurs, both young men and young women. And obviously, we know that African women are the most entrepreneurial in the world. And yet, we are seeing, yes, less young startups owned by female business owners that actually thrive and get the next level beyond the 1 year, beyond the 2 years. So how do we make sure that they are also cutted on the long term?
Merci. Ce qui est important de savoir, c'est que les startups féminines sont les plus performantes. Elles sont plus performantes parce qu'elles sont beaucoup plus déterminées et je pense qu'elles ont compris les enjeux par rapport à leur positionnement. Cela ne fait pas d'elles celles qui sont le plus accompagnées, malheureusement. Donc on a l'objectif de pouvoir apporter, en tout cas, toute l'assistante et l'accompagnement pour ces startups-là. Et aujourd'hui, si je donne l'exemple du gouvernement du Sénégal, ils ont commencé à mettre en place des lois qui privilégient les femmes, en tout cas en termes d'entrepreneuriat. Et surtout, des mesures ont été données pour qu'elles soient accompagnées de manière privilégiée dans chaque étape de leur empowerment. Donc, nous, à Diocolabs, parce qu'on est un espace de travail collaboratif, l'idée, c'est de se dire comment, entre elles, elles peuvent s'empower et aussi comment, avec les startups masculines, elles peuvent créer un mix. Donc, on essaie au maximum de leur donner cette envie, non seulement de collaborer ensemble, mais aussi d'apporter un nouvel état d'esprit qui est, c'est pas parce que je suis une femme que je peux pas avancer, qui est, c'est pas parce que je suis une maman que je ne dois pas travailler tard. Et tant qu'on gardera cela en tête, nous allons les aider à beaucoup plus se développer et rejoindre le gap qui existe malheureusement.
Thank you very much. What you are highlighting also is that young women or women themselves need to go beyond their barriers, because when they do that, they are actually performing. Dominique, I know that you probably have sort of suffered a double discrimination because you're very young and you're also a woman. And yet, you have achieved a lot. How do we, according to you, how do we go past those barriers and those mindsets that need to be overcome to have more women actually go through that process?
Thank you very much. I'm very honored to be here today. I think my story has been proof first to myself that I was able to do something, because before the external came in telling me that I wasn't able to achieve, I think the louder voice was my own. And I think that's something that a lot of women face. The voice is your own. You can't be able to do this. You can't achieve this. And it was a journey for me to challenge my own internal voice. Yes, I did meet people. My name is Dominique, so a lot of times people think it's a male name through emails, and my last name is Alonga, so there's very little to give away what gender I was, especially through emails, which noticing that, the change from an interaction over the internet or email and in person, in 2015 and 16, the first thing that I was being told was, "You're Dominique. Are you sure you're Dominique?" I'm like, yeah, that's my name. And so that I was facing as well. Coming back, I think, telling my story and making sure that it's heard loud and clear is going to be a tool to empower other women to say, you know what, that can also be my story. Because I was a pretty normal 22-year-old when I started my company, Imagine We, and now it's growing and it's creating platforms for me to sit here. And I want to make sure that women and young girls behind me know that it is a possibility for them as well. So yes, the barriers are there, but it's mainly internal, even though there's a lot of external that needs to be dealt with. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I would like to bring you in, Olatorera. I think we've talked about mindsets, and I know that you have worked, especially in a very male-dominated environment before creating your own company. And it's not always easy for actually women to find their inner strength, because outside barriers are going to be there. But how do we actually find ways to still anchor, so to speak, find ways to not be drowned in everything that is happening around and still keep going and focused?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Olatorera Oniru. Really great being here today. Amazing event. Well done to everyone who planned this event. Great to have so many leaders pushing for Africa's greatness in one room. I'm CEO of DressMeOutlet.com, but very importantly, I'm very passionate about Africa's growth, Africa's development, and seeing the continent developed into one of the world's greatest. To answer your question, it's been a journey of over 15 years. It started when I was 13, and my dad said, look, Olatorera, I have 10 other children, so you're on your own. I need you to be ambitious. I need you to grow. I need you to be successful. So the beginning of my ambitious journey started with that conversation with my dad. He said, everything you would need, school fees, you name it, I want you to find it yourself. When I was graduating from university, one of my professors said, don't apply to that company. They don't hire people with your skin color. They rarely hire women. I applied. I got the job. Life is a journey, and every individual's journey is different. Every individual's journey has very strong meanings to it. Regardless of what you want to achieve, where you're going in life, it's all up to you. Many people see Mark Zuckerberg's success story, Jack Ma's success story, and the great success stories of Beyoncé and the likes of them. People are looking to be Kim Kardashian today. But what I want to tell everyone, all the youths, is that your journey is yours to live, your journey is yours to decide, and your journey is yours to push. And that's what's going to make Africa great. That's the Africa we want today. That's the Africa we want tomorrow. Someone told me that push means pray until something happens. I said no. Push means push urgently with a strategy until your success is heightened. Heightened to the point whereby you're not coming down. You're doing so well for Africa, whether you're assisting to educate girl children, female children, or whether you're assisting to put male children in power positions, whatever it is that you strategized and said, this is what I want to do for Africa, you push until the success is heightened so much that you're not coming down, and Africa is not coming down. And Africa needs every single human being here today to push your dreams. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Allow me to come back to you, Ms. Chibwana. I think we have, of course, to be, as young women, we have to push hard and go the extra mile to make it happen. But there are also, we've talked about a conducive environment. And one thing that was highlighted by the Right Honorable is the need for a proper education and an education that really gives young women the right skill sets that they need to actually thrive. We've talked about entrepreneurship, and a number of young women are entrepreneurs. I would like to ask probably how many of them actually were encouraged to be entrepreneurs in their education or got the right skills when they were in the education. So I would like probably to ask you, especially in the education sector, formal and informal, how do we, or are we catering to make sure that those young women that want to do more, that want to push, are actually equipped? Because it's one thing to push, but if they are not given the right weapons, they might not be succeed. So are we equipping our young women to actually be able to go that extra mile that we want them to go?
Okay, so our goal as High Life Foundation is to raise the next generation of African leaders who not only share their knowledge or impart their opinions, but rather raising leaders who lead with the right mix of integrity, values, skills, and experience. And we believe that the challenges that Africa is facing requires a new way of thinking, and so our responsibility is that we create these platforms for these young people. There are so many things that we can actually do to make sure that the young women are skilled enough. Through one of our sister organizations in Zimbabwe, we call Muzinda Hub, we provide opportunities for these young adults for IT programming and digital skills training. So this is a platform where they can learn current trending skills and the skills which are still required for the future jobs. Anticipating that with these newly acquired skills by these young people, especially our girls, young women, they'll actually become more marketable for employment. Also using or be inspired, creating their own applications, their own websites, and also using these services for income generation, even as freelancers. And in terms of quality education, like as High Life Foundation, we have a digital learning platform which we call Ruzivo. So through this platform, we actually extend our reach to disadvantaged communities, lowering the cost of quality education to the most vulnerable. And we also have learning hubs situated in all the provinces of Zimbabwe, even in other countries where we have operations like Burundi and Lesotho. And we believe that through these learning hubs, we are providing online access to learning resources that are also serving digital needs for the different communities. And these communities, remember, they also encompass young women. We also looked at the opportunities in the education system in our African continent, even on the globe. And to fully maximize, we've actually have at least 200 international scholarships to our talented young women so that they're also in sync and are also kept abreast of the trends in the job market that they also need to pursue as they pursue their own career dreams and educational dreams which they have as young women.
Thank you very much. I think it's very insightful, and we'll get probably a sense of other initiatives that are on the continent as well. But you are talking about equipping those young women with ICT and other skills that are not necessarily very present in the current educational system. I also remember that we're now talking about the gig economy, and we're talking about STEM. Those are disrupting events, probably, that are shaping and changing the economic world as we see it. So do we have, or what should be added in terms of what young women need to understand and know about those different new ways of doing business, for example? I'm thinking about a comment that was made yesterday of a young woman saying that today with ICT, I can have my business from home and not leave home. So not only is ICT an enabler, but it also helps to address some of those issues. So probably, could you give us a sense of some of those new ways of doing business, of new ways that can actually make young women say, oh, but I can actually do it because there's a new way to do it?
En effet, la digitalisation, c'est aujourd'hui ce qui apporte une lumière pour beaucoup de femmes. Parce que les jeunes qui sont dans cette salle, beaucoup parmi ces jeunes ne savent pas demain quel métier ils feront, parce que les métiers changent, de nouveaux métiers viennent. Tout ce qu'on peut savoir avec ces métiers, c'est qu'ils seront liés au digital. C'est pourquoi on essaie de plus en plus de créer des programmes qui accompagnent les femmes dans les TIC en leur apprenant à coder, tout simplement. Il y a des initiatives comme Africa Code Week qui, pendant tous les mois d'octobre chaque année, essaient au moins d'initier les jeunes à travers des enseignants, donc d'école, mais aussi à travers leur maman, parce que beaucoup de femmes, en tout cas en grande partie, ce sont elles qui suivent la scolarité des enfants, qui font les devoirs à la maison. Donc il était important d'avoir cette formation pour les femmes, leur donner cet outil qu'ils pourront retransmettre beaucoup mieux, en tout cas, mais aussi avoir cet outil pour leur permettre de comprendre les enjeux du 21e siècle en se disant le coding, c'est une nouvelle langue, donc je dois être fluent on this language. J'ai envie de partager avec vous un projet sur lequel nous sommes totalement investis, qui accompagne énormément les femmes, notamment dans des zones très reculées, qui ont moins accès à l'Internet, qui ont moins accès aux outils informatiques et IT. C'est comment créer des outils pour ces femmes-là sans avoir cet accès à Internet. Parce que quand on est dans les zones rurales, et les zones rurales sont celles qui sont le plus défavorisées, parce qu'on a toujours l'impression que tout se passe dans la capitale, qu'il faut informer les gens de la capitale, faire déplacer ceux qui sont dans les zones rurales, c'est compliqué, ce sont des budgets en plus. Donc l'idée, c'est de se dire comment est-ce que nous leur apportons l'information sans qu'elles aient la possibilité, pour avoir la possibilité justement, sans avoir de connexion Internet, d'être à jour sur ce qui se passe en lien avec les IT, mais également avec tout ce qui peut leur permettre de se renforcer, de renforcer leur capacité en IT et de pouvoir répliquer autour d'elles. Parce que dans les zones rurales, elles sont en regroupement. Il suffirait qu'il y ait 1 ou 2 leaders pour que toutes ces femmes puissent être sensibilisées, qu'elles puissent être accompagnées et elles feront le reste tout simplement.
Thank you very much. I think we've highlighted what young women or women at all need to do. Believe in themselves, have self-confidence, go out there, etc., etc. I would like to decentralize the conversation a little bit to all the people that are around the women. We've heard women. I hope you have heard your role, but let's get around them as well. As you are mentioning your father, and obviously families and the values and the culture and the customs, the traditions that we are embedded in and born in are very important. And yet, they change very little. So is it the responsibility finally of the young woman, or is it the responsibility also of the support system that she has around her to make that happen?
Definitely, it's the support system, but it starts with each individual. So your support system, your environment, where you were born into, the school you went to, every part of your upbringing plays a role in your development, in your growth, in your success story. That's why you would find people migrating from Rwanda, from Nigeria, going to the US, going to the UK, in search for what will contribute to their dreams and their legacies on earth. So it's your family, everybody that comes in contact with you, the leaders you meet on a daily basis, the honorables sitting here, the ones you meet when you step outside, they play a role in your success story. For me, learning is a major key. So I never stop learning. If I sit with you, I'm sitting with you because I want to learn from you. When I sit with someone, I want to learn from them. When I went for my MBA, I wanted to learn so much within 1 year. I didn't see my 9 to 5 in classes as the end point of my learning. I will go back and do a ton of research and be sure that my knowledge is solidified. And knowledge is not something that ever stops. We learn on a daily basis. Knowledge is important to grow. So it's important to have your ambitions, but I see life as a pyramid, like a triangle with the bottom. When you're aware of yourself, see yourself at that bottom. And along the line, as you're learning, as you're growing, as you're succeeding in your ambitions, you start to climb up the ladder into that pinnacle point of where your success story wants you to be at. It could be trying to educate 100,000 girls in 2 years. And you know that that's your goal, that's the urgency you want to achieve. You're going to try to get as much knowledge, as much resources as you need to get to that point. So life is, yes, we say push your dreams, but that P of the push is planning. There's a lot of planning that goes into your success story. The urgency is a timeline. Oh, I want to get my MBA in 2 years. Oh, I want to work for a mining company right after. In 5 years, I want to start my own mining company. In 10 years, I want to be known on the Fortune 5 of Africa in mining industry. In 20 years, I want to be employing 20,000 people. So you have goals. And then comes the S of the push. You gotta have a strategy. This is how I'm going to achieve these goals. I need to meet with industry leaders. I need to get financing. I need to be part of an incubation program. Whatever it is you need, your strategy must be well outlined. And then you just never stop. You keep growing, you keep excelling.
Thank you very much. Pushing and making sure that it happens, and also pushing in that environment that might not always be helpful. From your experience, once again, you're a Rwandan entrepreneur, but also very well versed in the cultural traditions of Rwanda. So I would like probably to sort of mix the two, because we are Africans, and Africa is rich of culture, etc. So how do we balance between the need to evolve and change some of those harmful ones, but also take advantage of the good ones?
I'm very excited to refute or contradict a little bit what you're talking about. And I agree with the essence. I think a lot of what you said is very optimistic. Let's go get it. And it's pep talk, which I need to hear every week. But I've worked with a lot of people starting from some slum areas here in Rwanda, and I've had the privilege to go to Somalia, I've had the privilege to go to Mozambique, in areas where a girl, it's so internal that she is not gonna go, that if we talk to her about, think, and it sounds very motivating, she will still meet with a surrounding that's like, when are you going to have kids? You're the baby machine. You are, and even the language, coming back to the culture, the Honorable earlier mentioned a few things that are harming the mindset of young women, harming the way we see ourselves. We work right now with a school here in Rwanda, a high school, so the age group is between 11 to 17. And it breaks my heart that the highest expectations they have of themselves is to get married. It's that narrative that we have internalized so much. And one of the things I wanted to say in answering you is, we need to stop looking at women as prizes. Even me as a woman, I need to stop looking at myself as a prize to another person. I need to stop using adjective to connect to women so one of the things I tell my friends, when we refer to men, they're driven, they're ambitious, It starts and ends with themselves. It starts and ends with their career. They're smart. But when we talk about women, we say they're patient, they're kind, which is how do they relate to other people? It's never with themselves, because there's always an expectation that a woman needs to relate to other people to be whole, and they need to be givers all the time. And it's so internal that we just know. And we need to start breaking that. One of the things we do with White Dove, which is a school we work with, is is repeat, that they're able, that they need to get out of that mentality. And I love what she was mentioning, the digital age. What it has done is given a voice to women, to movements of women who are so passionate that it sometimes comes off as angry. And what the angrier women are about their oppression or their being left behind, the stronger they will be to drive change for other women forward. Another thing I want to mention is the environment. So I am a girl, I'm a woman, and there's this whole environment for me to grow. There's this, who am I going to meet tomorrow? Am I risking to be raped? Am I risking FGM? Am I risking all that? So the environment is very, very important. And in that environment, that's why we need to discuss with men, we need to discuss with other key players, even in the basic society level, not to be bystanders. It has become okay to appreciate a man who doesn't hit his wife. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be okay to say, oh, he's so nice, he doesn't hit his wife. It shouldn't be like that's an extra step. You know, another thing I'm trying to say, like the bystander syndrome, what words do we use when we're referring to young girls? What words do we use at home? A friend of mine yesterday was saying, why is it that my mom has to wake me up before my brother, you know, to clean? Why? Because I'm being groomed to be a wife. Why am I being groomed? So all that mentality in Rwanda, one of the things that I have been very controversial about is when I grow up, I am told nzaba umufasha, nzashaka umutware. I'm facing my leaders. Nzashaka umutware, which means umutware, he's the leader, he's guerrier.
Translation maybe. It's,
yeah, and then I translate that I'm going to be the helper. And that's my language. My language is prepping me to be a helper. How is language affecting me? How is language affecting my peers? That's my environment as well. So yes, I can have my plans to be, in 5 years, a leader, to join a great humanitarian organization. I can, but what is my environment telling me? What is the environment telling young girls in my neighborhood who are giving their bodies every day to buy bread? What is going on? And these are conversations that I'm hoping we will be genuine about. Break the taboos around sex. Break the taboos around free choice. So yeah, let's talk about those things.
Let's talk about them, and that's the whole objective of this session. I would like to call upon the audience a little bit. I think let's have a comprehensive conversation. I think we have highlighted some of those elements that need to change. But I also know that individuals here, young women here, have done great things, and they have made that push. So I would like someone, especially entrepreneurs in Africa, I know we have plenty of them in the audience, that have done that step, and just highlight what has been that one thing that actually helped you to get to where you wanted to get. And how do we sort of scale it up to make sure that more women get into the space that you are in? Very quickly, as we raise hands, I hear, so we can start here, then in the back. Oh, definitely, definitely. This is a comprehensive conversation.
Thank you so much. My name is Hope Nankunda, and I work with Raising Teenagers Uganda, and I also coordinate the Girls Not Brides Alliance in Uganda. Now, I love the conversations, and the issue here remains that the girls in the rural areas still remain uncatered for and marginalized. But I also want us to connect the issue of menstruation. If we do not think about investing in menstruation for education, we are getting it all wrong. We cannot have girls in school with boys, and then we say all that students want are books and pens and pencils. No. the girl needs sanitary pads. And the truth is, so many girls are dropping out of school. So many girls have given up. They have gone to Maine for pads, and they have to give sex in return. And that is how teenage pregnancy keeps getting on the rise. So unless we all talk about investing in menstruation as governments, and we take it as important as it sounds, we have it all wrong. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, the whole objective of the session is to talk about it. So let's talk about it. The young man that is feeling left behind, we're leaving no one behind this morning.
Well, thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Otiende Bob from Kenya, and we've just been having this conversation with my friend here. First of all, I want to say that I come from a family where I'm the only boy. So my mom is a woman, I have sisters, so I'm not in any way against the conversation. But when we talk about inclusivity, first thing, you have a great panel without a single man. The other thing is, what we forget, and I'm grateful that we have the head of UN Women, is the empowerment and the liberation of women does not mean the bringing down of men. The only way this war is won is if we all do it together. I want a world, I imagine an Africa where my sisters have the same opportunity that I have. I want a situation where my sisters are not married to men who are going to beat them up. You understand? But the only way you solve this problem is not to just look at the women. Look at the men too. You know, what you don't understand, what you do not understand is men, boys are born, and at a certain point in your life, you are expected to switch to a man. No one teaches you how to be a man. You understand? And there are certain things, and we are Africans. There are certain things and there are certain initiations that we go through. And then you're just told, you are a man. And you're supposed to treat a lady this way. But women always get someone who walks them alone. This is what is done. I do not refute the fact that for a long time, women have gotten the shorter end of the stick. And I appreciate that, and I've seen that. But the only way we win this war is we both fight it together. So include the men in your discussion. It has been great. It has been great. But I struggle, and we've been discussing this here, I struggle to see where I come in.
Thank you very much. Before we continue, probably I will give the floor to UN Women Regional Director. I think she has highlighted that. And once again, the President of the Republic of Rwanda is a he for she. What does that mean? I am a man, but I stand by women. And I hope we have more he for she's in the room as we continue and pursue this conversation. So definitely you are not left behind. Maybe she'll address the comments a little bit later. Let's have another man.
Thank you very much, and thank you, brother, for bringing that up. I was wondering why only women there, and yeah. So I want to challenge us also to look at on another segment of the population, because the Honorable Speaker of the Parliament mentioned that statistics. I'm a statistician, I'm a monitoring and evaluation expert. She mentioned that 80% of women are in rural areas. So, and all what people talk about is ICT, technology, big businesses, being CEOs, but those ladies in rural areas are left behind and they need more push. So I would like to challenge Africans to have more youth connects conversations in rural areas, but also politicians to make sure that the efforts are so getting there, especially quality education, and also tackling all those barriers that refrain women from getting to those opportunities? How will a woman, a lady from Rusizi in those mountains get to Kigali and to a place like this and be able to speak? We need to do something. I work with a project that does that, and I know that they are very challenged. When you talk, for example, we had a discussion with them, focus group discussions with those youth in rural areas, and you could ask them, what did you learn from our trainings? And they could tell, before, Dominique was talking about right to sex and all that, what they could tell you, they were saying, before a man could come and I could just agree. But after going through this training, it's about reproductive health. Now I know how to say no. So you see, those are rural areas, and many of those girls who attend our trainings, they have babies. So it is also challenging for them to attend classes where they learn entrepreneurship and employability skills, but they have also to cater for their young ones, and they are very young. So we need to do something about it.
Thank you very much. Let's change sides, maybe.
So, hello everyone. My name is Wala. I'm from Sudan, and I'm part of the AUYVC, and I'm a mechanical engineer, so I'm representing women in science and technology. For me, I think we are done to discuss all these barriers, problems, blah, blah, blah. I think we wasted so much time discussing those problems. We need to move forward. Yes, we need to understand what we are facing, but we need to look into solutions and to identify the tactics, because if we have a fall, we need to identify the tactics. So first of all, if we would like to think about barriers, we women, we need to be overachievers. So take that diploma, that MSc, that certificate, so when you are in a meeting or when you apply for a job, they don't have any choice but hiring you. And also, in this room, we are the mothers of today and tomorrow. We are the fathers of today and tomorrow. Let's raise our girls to feel that we are complete human beings. I don't like the sense of inferiority. When you enter a room, you are a human being. We don't have to classify ourselves, we are a man or a woman. We need to move from this kind of thinking. And also, we are, as women, sometimes we are the enemy of our own selves. We are the bosses, we are the sisters, we are the sisters-in-law, we are the mothers-in-law, we are the colleagues. So let's make sure that we take care of one another.
Thank you. Last point?
Yes, sorry. And I would like to take the chance, I don't know where is the Honorable UN Women Director. One of the barriers is the family laws, the laws that discriminate between women and men, the working environment. Yesterday, during our time when we were discussing about the women in STEM, sometimes you apply for a job, they don't take you because they don't have place for women to stay in. Working environment is not friendly for women. So for organization, for governments, we need you to change the laws, the policies, to make working environments more attractive and can accommodate women. So let's move from discussing problems into solutions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Just in the back there.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm called Mondo Chateka. I'm Commissioner for Youth and Children Affairs, Republic of Uganda. I want to start by congratulating all Ugandans and friends of Ugandans on this 56th independence anniversary. Today is our Independence Day. Thank you. I like the debate, and I want to thank you for having systematically edged out the men from this discussion, starting with UN Women, add on the speaker, add on the moderator, add on the panel. And you see, immediately the men have felt the pinch The women have not been occupying this space. We have occupied this space for a long time, and the women have been dying quietly. But you see how men react. Immediately they realized that you are dominating the space, they raised up. And I joined them to raise up to say, you have dominated the space. This is the same thing that you ought to do as men, to shout out when things are not working right. Some author wrote and said, society begins to rot the moment people keep quiet about things that matter. Women, you have kept quiet for a long time, but you have seen how men react. They have said, no, we want space. I also had to put up my hand to say, we still need this space.
Thank you very much.
I'm also excited about the last one. I'm also excited, and I want to congratulate the Republic of Rwanda for putting this together. This is the first summit that I have attended in the last 24 years where the young people are the dominant factor. Wherever you look, you see a young person. We cannot change this space unless we give space to the young people, but also unless we take this to the grassroots. From Kigali Convention Center to our villages, to talk about SRH, to talk about family planning. Of course, there is controversy about family planning. Uganda is saying one thing, Tanzania is saying another, and we are not speaking as one people. Up to now, my mother of 8 years, talk about mindset. She does not eat eggs, she does not eat chicken. So talk about mindset. How do we take it to the village woman, my mother, to understand that something must be done and be done differently?
Thank you very much. We have one last one there in white. A last comment and then we can continue.
My name is Marcy from Kenya, and I'm thinking of the barrier that women have had for a long time, beginning from the tender age. A woman is blessed with little mindset. For example, you go to school and find out as young as class 4, they have been already set in their minds that they need maybe a man to offer them bread in exchange of sex. You find that the mindset of a girl grows with a wrong motive. They are put like men have all the power, not the power to lift them, but to undermine the God down. And as we move on, even as we grow, we find that, when do we find that there are many single mothers? When don't we have single fathers? So I get worried. Who is ever responsible to take care of whatever? Why should a woman suffer from these things? And men leave women with this burden. We need to grow. We need to change our mindset.
Thank you very much.
We need men to understand their responsibility, not to be careless about how they treat women. Women should be treated with dignity they deserve. So that is my point.
Thank you very much. Thank you, that is powerful. I'll keep the singer father for later on, but I would like probably as we have the response from the panel, the response from the floor, and also the concluding remarks. I would like to call upon UN Women Regional Director. I think a number of questions were addressed to her, and especially from the men. I do remember a number of questions of, do you even have men working at UN Women? Yes. But I would like you to respond to that. Are we sidelining the men? Can we have a mic here? Are we sidelining the men? And empowering women, does it mean disempowering men?
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Thank you to my sons. As you spoke, I remembered my son, Jeff. He told me, Mom, we might soon need a uni man, as opposed to women, UN women. The first thing I want to say is what the Honorable Minister has just whispered as we were walking out. You know, we need to be complementary to each other. It's very important, and that's why when I began speaking, I said that I want to underline gender equality. Gender equality, both men and women. Empowering women does not mean and should never mean disempowering men. And we have to be very careful in our language not to be confrontational. And when we say as UN Women that we are also working, another objective we have is the empowerment of women, is because there's a lot of unfinished business that was not achieved as we were moving towards the goal of gender equality. Statistics are there to prove it. There are very few women in parliaments, except for Rwanda. You find countries where you have 8% of women in parliament. Now, isn't that lopsided? We have in places where women are not able to freely go to school because they need, especially in rural women, to stay in rural areas, to stay behind and do the household chores and look after the young children, so they're not able to do their homework. What we are trying to do here is to ensure that we deal with those unfinished businesses that disenfranchise the women. When you look at the other side of it, in boards, for example, how many boards, especially the blue chip boards, do you find women? So where are the voices of the women in these places? When we emphasize women here, maybe we need to take a step back and look at the statistics. And what we are trying to do is to ensure that where we are very low, we rise it up to ensure that we are on an equal balance, on a level playing field for everybody, where everybody has chances, where we leave nobody behind. But it's not only about women. We're talking about people with disabilities. We have a tendency to leave people with disabilities behind. We have talked about people in rural areas. We have a tendency to bring all this knowledge and all these fora to the cities, but we don't do that as often to the rural areas. So this is not about disenfranchising men. You know, when you see a job application and it says women are strongly encouraged to apply, it discourages a lot of men. Sometimes they don't even apply. But what does that mean? Sometimes in that particular organization, they are trying to bring to the same level the women and men in leadership. And we have that in the UN. You saw our Secretary General trying to ensure that in the leadership of the United Nations, we have a 50-50 gender balance, which was not there before. So this is what I think we really need to stress: our language, how we use language, how we ensure that we are not confrontational, but we are complementary. In UN Women, we have instituted what we call he for she, and that's exactly what you are talking about, my compatriot, the Kenyan. He for she means exactly what you are saying. Having men in the dialogue, in the discussion, to ensure that we reach gender equality. And it is only when we reach gender equality, as His Excellency the President said, it makes common sense. It's because you have every hand on deck to ensure that we develop. So it's for our own good, actually, that we reach gender equality in all spheres of development. I hope I have responded to the question. And there was one
I
last
think
question,
he's the best person to say if
say that?
she has...
I think they asked also if there are men in UN Women. There are now 26%, 30% men, I believe, in UN Women. And the outgoing Deputy Executive Director of UN Women was actually a man.
Thank you very much. I think we have to come to a close, actually, for this session. I would like probably to highlight some of the takeaway messages, and I think a lot has been discussed. And once again, this is just the start of the conversation, and not even the start. This is just a drop in the ocean. We've been having those conversations again and again, and we're not hoping just to change everything now, but as we speak about it, we actually get towards it. And I'm hoping that this conversation in the next generation will have been forgotten. We're not fighting men against women, as the regional director is saying. We're really trying to build a more cohesive and comprehensive and inclusive society. And in terms of the key takeaway messages, I think we've seen that not only are women more determined, they're also, in some cases, especially in startups, they are performing. So we need to also create a structure, a framework in which they can perform, and for the benefit, once again, of the families, of the communities, of everyone. I think in terms of us women, and I'm not disenfranchising the men, but I think both sides are important to look at. I think we've talked about the inner voice. What are you telling yourself? And how are you pushing yourself also? There are a number of personal barriers that need to be addressed for us to actually take advantage of what is being given by society. I think society has its role, but we also have a role to take the opportunities that are there, that sometimes we just say, it's not for me, simply. We also talked about a new way of thinking, a paradigm shift, as it were, and especially in the context of the gig economy, in the context of the African CFT. A number of things are changing around us, so it's only fair for us to actually adapt in the way we think about ourselves, in the way we think about gender equality as well. We called everyone to avoid the confrontational speeches that we sometimes use without knowing, towards women, towards men, men towards men, women towards women, and all across the board. How do we make sure that we break the barriers, declassify men, women, young, less young, etc., to also think about just us as human beings? And then a last one probably is that we also need to move forward. How do we identify the tactics? And I think mentorship has come in importantly as well. Speaking with people that are experienced, that went through the same journey, is not just to look at them, but also, okay, if you have made this mistake and have been able to learn a lesson, how can I learn the lesson without having to go through the same mistake? I think this is important, and this is the objective also of such a platform, of how we create place and space for us to learn from other people and go forward. So with that, I would like to thank you very much, thank all my panelists for this very bright discussions, and for all of you actually who have contributed to the discussion. As we leave the floor to give the way to closing remarks, I would like to invite our next speaker, who is going to be Professor Nomboniso Gassa, who will provide a very brief keynote message and key takeaway that we get from this conversation. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I am honored to be here today in a room full of so many young people from around the continent doing inspiring things. But most importantly, I am honored and moved to be on this platform talking to you in Kigali. First, I'd like to pay tribute to people who passed on as a result of the genocide, and indeed to Rwandans who are making a new country and continue to make a new country that inspires us in the continent. I therefore start with a poem by Grace Nichols from her book, I is a Long-Memoried Woman. The epilogue, she says, I have crossed an ocean. I have lost my tongue. From the root of the old one, a new one has sprung. End. So we are here in this place because you Rwandans are growing a tongue from the destruction of the past. We are here as people of this continent because from the massacres and the pain of yesterday, we are learning to build anew. We are here as women of this continent because despite the trauma that we carry of gender-based violence, rape, assault, and all of that, we are here. So to start with, I'd like all those who have survived sexual violence, rape, assault, everything in that spectrum to raise your hands if you have the courage. Raise your hands. If you do not speak openly, if you do not own your trauma, it is difficult to build anew. It's important to highlight this very difficult topic because as you talked in the previous session about how to maximize on opportunities that are opening, how to create an environment that enables women, especially young women, to enter into spaces, to make a mark in those spaces. We come as a wounded people. We come into those spaces as people who are in recovery. And it is important that we bring these to the table because all these traumas are part of who we are. So if we're talking about enabling environment, we have to talk about an environment that creates opportunities for us to work in, to participate in, to excel in, that have legal instances in which we are triggered as women. Because if we do not talk about the multiple ways in which we are triggered, we are going to reproduce that, and we are going to create environments where sexual harassment thrives, where isolation of women on the basis of the experiences that they've had continues because we do not speak about them. You are gathered here and talking about how to push the barriers, how to change the barriers as young women. In a time when I was a young woman, there weren't forums like this. A lot of ministers who were responsible for young people on the continent, on this continent, and indeed in the world, were actually people who were often in their retirement age or should have been in their retirement age. So here, it is important that we are having multiple generations so that you can take from us, we can take from you, and we can try and figure out how to proceed. One thing that has come out very clear is, in the previous session, is the importance of the environment that we create. That environment has got to be created at a policy level, at a political level, and you see it here in Rwanda when you look at the multiple women who are in parliament, and when you look at Rwanda leading the continent on that. It's got to be created in terms of policy, It has got to be created in terms of the actual practice and cultures of institutions and organizations that we have so that we may feel comfortable. But one thing that I wish I had been told when I was young was that entering that space is not enough. The doors may be opened for you, the environment may be created for you, but once you enter that space, there's a whole lot of responsibility that you carry in yourself. We often talk about entering, we often talk about opportunities created for us, but we've got to discuss and find ways in which we define success for ourselves. What is success for you, young person? Success requires something else. It requires that we are passionate about what we do. It requires that we commit to things that are larger than ourselves. So it's not just me making this space. Also, I've got to be committed to also people around me. But most importantly, success finds you when you are prepared to do the hard work. It is not sexy. It is not cool. It doesn't trend. It is consistency. And consistency is what is going to set you apart. Passion is what is going to set you apart. But passion in and of itself, as well as intelligence, those things alone will not change things for you. It is consistency, it is dedication to do the hard work when no one looks around. Define your success for yourself. For other people, it's things they acquire. For me, acquiring things was never my interest, it still isn't. Making a difference is my interest. Everywhere I have been, and everywhere I have been invited, and everywhere I have invited myself, I have always made sure that I leave with people saying, she passed here. She passed here in terms of creating an environment for other people. She passed here in terms of leaving a mark for others to see. She passed here in terms of being able to be open to be changed by others. Define your success. Let not others define your success for you. Own your pain. Own your joy. If you own these things, and if you work on something that you feel committed to, it will not feel like hard work. And you will not fail, because failure is about quitting, failure is about being discouraged, and there will be those times in life, there always are. But tomorrow, you will wake up again, and you will do things that will take you closer to the goal that you want. That is success. If we do not put emphasis on how you wake up tomorrow, Rwanda would still be caught in the trauma of the genocide. The trauma may not go away, it never does. But you live enough to be able to do something else tomorrow so that you can leave this place slightly different than you found it yesterday. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Gassa, for this inspiring and energizing way to finish this conversation. And this is how it ends, or this is how it begins. It's yours to decide. I think a number of things have been said, but it is up to all of us to actually make the change that we want to see in our societies. So I was very much privileged to be with you this morning. My name is Novella Nikwigize, and I am giving you this assignment, this homework to do. Make the change that you want to see happen in Africa. Thank you very much. I would like, just before we close, to give a few announcements on the proceedings of the day. We have a following session that is on Urban Youth Connect that is going to take place right here in about 15 minutes. Urban Youth Connect. Also, please note that the business leaders conversation is taking place in MH1 with the objective to discuss the opportunities of the African CFTA. And again, after the afternoon session or after lunchtime at 2 p.m., we will hold 2 site visits. One to Kimisagara Integrated Youth Friendly Center, and another one in Gikomero IDP Model Village, with the objective to, as we said, sharing good practices, sharing interesting examples and models that can be replicated in other countries. So please sign up as you exit the auditorium or near the KCC exit available in the lobby near here. And enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.